Empty, man. Wait off.
Oh shit, sorry. Hey, what the fuck? Back up, you cunt! Fuck, you don't touch me! Back up! No problem.
There's a big but you. Now it's our turn, and we won't back down. Living from a paradise hill. Tears that fell, things that you leave behind. Things you left me like an eye. This is a straight back to you. I stand from empty spaces. I don't care who understands. One day I will find you out. Someday I will find you living. Trust that they won't come about. Come unite and live backward as yours.
Hey, how you doing? Interesting. A lot of guys out there in the market today, but I had known that Lee Morrison, Urban Combatives over in the UK, had attributed some of his influence to me. And one day I was surfing around the internet and happened onto a YouTube clip. Unlike a lot of guys, within a couple of minutes, I could tell the guy was really tightly packed, moved well, very fast, had the mentality, and was impressed. So after a while, I emailed him. He emailed back. Then we called each other, kind of hit it off right away. And I suggested that he got a broader kind of exposure to the U.S. market through Paladin. He liked the idea, fucking comes over here. Lee, now he's here, and I think he's having a good time. We love having him.
See, good.
And are glad to have him here, and I hope you enjoy his tapes, because he's going to kick some ass.
Thanks. Hi there, my name is Lee Morrison. I'm a combatives instructor in the UK. I'm happy and lucky enough to be over here at the Crucible on Kelly McCann's request, who's one of my great influences early in my training. We're doing a DVD here with Paladin. Subject is counter-grappling. Just give you a quick, brief background of my own. My experience comes from 30 years of training in a variety of martial methods, both Eastern and Western. Along with 14 years working in the security industry, namely as a nightclub doorman. In addition to that, I have the accumulation of experience like the rest of us, from adolescence to maturity, growing up, street fights, bar fights, etc. This accumulation of experience led me some time ago to formulate a teaching group, which started out just as a few friends together, which then eventually turned into the curriculum that I now teach, Urban Combatives. What I'm going to offer you in part here today is the aspect relating to counter-grappling. Counter-grappling really is a last resort, particularly in a street environment. What we're talking about is the management of a potential threat via our soft skills so we can avoid an escape. If that's not possible, then we want to manage the distance between us, our personal space, and if this is going to get physical, then we want to be proactive in terms of, if necessary, preemption. That preemption is really going to formulate itself in striking. In my experience, from my own experience, I've had the best success with ballistic impact. The best way to deal with any threat is to shut it down quickly via unconsciousness, if the force to threat parallel warrants that. What I don't want to be doing is ending up in a clash or a grapple and then going to the ground with the individual. Because unlike training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or shoot wrestling or Greco-Roman or anything like that, there's not going to be any mats around. There's probably going to be a disparity in height, weight, size, strength. And the conditions are such that, well, I don't want to go to the ground. It's going to be uneven curb surfaces, broken glass, dog shit. It's not nice to be down there. And then you can add the addition of that to, weapons. Chances are if I'm rolling around on the ground and the guy I'm dealing with has got a blade in his pocket, the first I'm going to know about it is when it's sticking out a part of my anatomy. And then, of course, buddies, While I'm wrestling somebody on the ground, the rest of his friends are kicking my head like a Coke can. That's the last thing that I want. So there's too many good reasons not to end up on the ground. But, shit happens, and we must have a contingency plan if that does happen. So what we're going to look at in this tape are the key areas to grappling as far as I'm concerned, and basically where they are at are, if I mismanage this range, this interpersonal space between us as this confrontation develops pre-fight, then we could end up in some kind of stand-up clash where his body is clashed into mine. Maybe I hit him, he covers and crashes in because he doesn't want to get hit anymore, or vice versa. What you're most likely to find is not going to manifest itself in a sporting sense to look anything like what we know as a clinch, you know, an underhook, a Muay Thai clinch, or whatever else. It's more likely to be what one of my peers, South Narc, calls it, a fucked, which is just a fucked up tangle, or a fouled up tangle, just a mess, a clash of bodies. Well, from there, this stiff arm, push-pulling kind of thing is going to happen, and if that's not taken care of quickly, you'll end up on the ground. I disagree with the saying that most fights end up on the ground, but I do agree that if you mismanage that stand-up range, on the ground is where you're going to end up. So the first element that we're going to look at is a stand-up grapple, and what options we have from there to get up the ladder of force to ballistic impact quickly, so we can avoid going to the ground. Next to that is what we all know is grappling, horizontal, on the ground. Basically two positions, you're either on top of him or he's on top of you. So we're going to look at some methods of controlling that situation. In addition to that, I'd like to address the situation where one guy's up and the other guy's on the ground. So maybe now you're fighting from your knees or you're fighting off your back. And also a situation where if I've taken this guy down, but he still represents a threat, I need to finish this without going to the ground myself. So we'll also look at that. Finally, I'd like to address the issue of weapons, particularly for, for Paladin and for the American citizens, where you are entitled in some states to carry something. I want to look at both sides of the coin from where, if I want to access a weapon to help me out of this situation, what's the best time for me to do that? How do I prevent getting my draw failed? And also, the other side of the coin where if he's about to access a weapon, I want to feel that energy and be able to do something proactive about it to prevent that from happening. So they're the elements that we're going to look at. Take from it what you will, absorb what's useful, as the saying goes, and enjoy. Okay, so what we're going to start with is stand-up grappling, stand-up counter-grappling. Two approaches to this: offensive, where I'm taking the initiative from this situation, and counter-offensive, where I'm being grabbed in some common way and now I maybe need to deal with it. Of course, grappling is, like I've said before, less than ideal, but if you're here, then you've got to do something. So let's look at, first of all, why would two people end up clashing? Well, one depiction, if you ever remember the old Jerry Springer show, you'd see two people stood there arguing face to face with no situational control, no hands up, and all of a sudden there's this boom, this explosion where they just clash with each other, and it's all hair pulling, ripping off earrings and this kind of thing that ends up on the ground. Well, that's a rough translation of how it does happen. What basically happens is whoever hits the guy first, if it's not a clean shot, he's not clinically knocked unconscious, then none of us want to get hit anymore. So what will happen is the clinch response will come in, and the natural reaction is to just jam forward in an attempt to stifle his movement or shut this guy down. Then you get this push-pulling thing, which may or may not end up on the ground. If you look at boxers when they, a pro fight, when they're moving around and they clash together, and the guy comes in and says, "Break." Well, they're not just clashing because they're tired or holding on because they're tired. That's part of it. But quite often, one guy just doesn't want to get hit no more, needs a breathe space, and waits for the referee to pull them apart. This is like a classic example of what's happening. So we may or may not end up in a stand-up kind of clash because one guy's hit the other guy, it's not done the job, and in an attempt to shut him down, boom, you've just clashed. Another example might be the guy's primarily a grappler, or maybe he's a rugby player or a football player, and he, big lump, and he's used to using his weight and strength. So his starter for 10 might be he'll look to grab you and dump you. There's a number of reasons, but the point of the fact is you've ended up in this clash at extreme close quarters, what South Narc calls the fucked up tangle, and now you need to do something about it. Well, one of the first keys to doing something about it will be maintaining balance. Okay? First thing that you want to make sure is, if we clash and my shoulders go past my heels, there's only one direction for me to go, and that's to the ground. So at all costs, I want to throw a leg back and drop my center of gravity where possible, regardless of the position of the arms, and where possible, keep my nose over my toes and a little bit of pressure off this back foot, so I can momentarily control this position. Whilst doing that, I need to employ a counter response from the options that we talked about. First couple of drills that we're going to look at relate to striking from restriction. Okay? And this comes from an experience that I have had. I mismanaged this range, was about to throw a preemptive strike and just got literally grabbed. I think the objective was to grab me and dump me. The guy was bigger than me, big guy. And what came out is striking from a restriction that would by no means illustrate a textbook, but certainly got me up the ladder of force to dealing with the problem. Okay? So I'm going to call in Sharon here, comes in. The situation that was called upon was, there was this clash of bodies from here, this is mismanagement, and there's kind of one arm around and one arm over. So what he kind of did is he kind of grabbed me around here in this effort to dump me, pick me up and dump me. I wasn't completely, barehulled. There was an arm free. Okay? First thing you need to look at from here is I need to throw a leg back and look at what my options are. Well, there's plenty of options here. I could kind of, anything to create a bit of pain, grab this flesh here and just start to wrench it, work my way into the groin, bite from here. But restricted striking is what I want to start with. So from this position then, he's a strong guy, he's hooked up, and I want to give him any opportunity to squeeze me, pick me out and dump me. I need to start motoring. So all I've got is this palm heel into the back of his skull. So I've got a good target available, but with a restriction. So I need to throw my weight lateral by blasting off this foot. And here I'm just going to have one, have two, boom, and three. And as I do this, I'm going to pull this free. Keeping this index now, I can start to work from elbow, fist, knee, whatever. And I'll just beat him to the ground. In reality, you may do this, then this, then this. I'm not going to tell you what to do. It could be different every time you take part. Take the concept. Hit him to get this arm free, and then wail with whatever target you see. Think of yourself as a firework. He's holding on to a firecracker that's about to literally explode. And I'm just going to hit him with everything I got till he hits the ground. Okay? So here we're talking, there's this mismanagement, he crashes me, and I end up here. I want this one action here, and then from here, and then I want to move off from this position to get out. Okay? So we look at it from the other side. Here. Get this clash, loose here. Gotta drop this leg back. One, two, here, get this index. Work off this, whatever he gives me. Okay? First drill. Okay, what I want to look at in the second drill is a combination of a couple of our options. Namely, I'm going to look at this kind of clash where I'm rammed into the wall, guys right here in my face. Well, ideally, I want to default in some way to get this kind of startle reflex going on, so I drop my head and get my arms up. I mean, that should be a trained thing that we should have worked on. I don't want to get caught, boom, cold cock like this, shoulders behind my heels, hitting my head, because I've got no momentum. And by the time I regain momentum, he's going to be all over me like a rash. So at the very least, any kind of stimulus that pushes me off balance should be met with some kind of default structure. If I don't get that, and I get caught here with my hands down, well, it's important I just kind of bring them in to feed them up. What I'm looking to do, whatever position he ends up, is I want to index his head. If I can index his face, his ear, then I can index his eye. My objective here is going to be to rip gouge just to create enough space to get up the ladder of force to striking quickly. That's what I want to be doing. So here we're going to use a combination of gouging, possibly biting, anything to create shock and immediate discomfort so he pulls away from the source of agitation. That will then allow me to get up the ladder of force to impact, which is what I want to be doing. Like I said before, the best way to deal with anyone is ballistic impact. I want to shake his brain and shut him down at the mains, okay? So in this drill, all we're looking at is you're caught slightly unawares, you know, maybe, and you get rammed into the wall. Now, what's his objective? Maybe he slams me in the wall to bounce me off it. Maybe he wants to slam me in the wall, load up and hit me. Maybe he just wants to start kneeing me, ragging me down. Whatever he's going to do. He's not holding me because he wants to take me home with him. He's holding me to do something bad for me. So my response, therefore, must be immediate. So we get this kind of clashed position. Ideally, I get a default. It'd be different every time we take parts. If we end up here, this is great for me. You have a cup? Nope. From here, I can just drive this knee, use the environment, and start working him over from here. There's one option. Again, restricted striking, use of the environment. If we want to employ this kind of gouge situation, then maybe I end up in this situation here, and I manage to index something. But if I freeze this and turn it round, for training, I'm using my fingerprints. In reality, I'm going to use the tip of the thumb. So here I don't want to hurt him, so in training I'll wipe his eyebrow, which simulates this gouge. In reality, I want the corner of my thumb rammed into the side of his cornea, and I want to rip it across the gelatin bulb of the eye. The kind of damage that you can employ from that is not necessarily as you'd expect. There's a lot of kind of controversy about popping eyes out and all this. It's bollocks. Basically, the eye is surrounded by a sphincter muscle, you know, which clenches up really tight to any kind of stimulus that approaches it. So it's difficult to get your thumb in somebody's eye. What's more likely is you'll lacerate his eyelid with your thumbnail. But either way, the pressure, if it's deep enough, could induce an optical knockout, but it's discomfort. I'm not looking to blind him temporarily or permanently. I'm looking to create enough pain to get him to fuck off me so I can get up the ladder. And that's all you'll create here. Okay, so from this position then, if I'm against this wall, if I can index this ear, then I can drop weight and tear it. If I can index the ear, I can index the eye, in which case I'm going to apply pressure. Now, he doesn't want to sustain injury. So natural human physiology will dictate that he pulls his head back. And as he pulls his head back, that opens, boom, this head butt. This head butt drives in, which then opens the ladder for this elbow. Okay? So here's the drill. He clashes me, I end up here, I'll gouge this, boom, butt, and start working him over with the elbows. Okay? Okay, so what we're looking to do then is to take that drill, which was partner work, and cross it over into the use of pad work, impact work. Because like I said, you know, in many times before in different things, you need to be cultivating the ability to hit hard. I don't want to just be pulling my shots on a partner. So partner work is good to get the feel, particularly within this kind of grapple situation. Cross it over quickly to impact work on the pads, and then from there you want to be putting on the helmet and padded equipment and making it much more dynamic. So now you've got the benefit of partner work with the ability to unload for some impact. And that's the progression. What we can do here is I'm going to show you the dynamics of the drill, and then we can add a little bit of stress to it. You know, so the stress that you can add to it will start initially with your eyes are shut. And what that duplicates is, you know, you're caught unawares, because let's be honest, if I see him coming to crash me, I would have done something about it. I would have moved, I would have stopped, I would have got my hands up, I would have done something. The whole point that I've ended up here is possibly because my attention was somewhere else, and then momentarily that, you know, this guy's on me. You know, that's never the ideal. Maybe it wasn't, maybe it was a mismanagement of range and he just crashes. Who knows? But what's important is that I'm trying to get that startle, taken by surprise thing going on. And the way that we'll do that is via triggering a startle reflex from shutting the eyes, and all of a sudden, boom, he slams me into this wall with this pad. That triggers me to open my eyes in default and then make the drill work. Well, how can you progress that? Well, you can progress it by adding fatigue. So maybe first I make him do 5 or 6 wind sprints, 10 burpee jumps, spin him 10 times, stand him up with his eyes shut, then he gets slammed into the wall. Well, now from there he makes it work. But for now, let's just get the bare bones of the drill. So the drill is, what we just looked at from here is the guy's crashed me, which simulates his head is close to me. My hands are indexing his head, and I want to get him off me via some sort of gouge that gets his head back, so I can then drop on this headbutt and start working up the ladder of force to impact. So we duplicate that with this pad. From here, he's going to shove me in the chest to the wall here. I want to default, where possible, get my nose over toes, hands up, and I want to index this pad. From here, my thumbs are going to simulate the gouge to get him off, which then opens up the target. Okay? What you've got to think about is, if there's a disparity in size, weight, strength, I don't want to contest force with force. If he drives me into here, this way, it may be a struggle for me to get this big dude off. So instead of this kind of pushing away, I want to kind of yield and move to the side so then I can work. So we duplicate that with the pad. If he pushes this pressure on and I can't push it back, then just kind of turn off from it and then start working over from here. So here's the drill. I'm here, eyes are shut, he rams this into the chest and maintains impact. You open the eyes, gouge, headbutt, start working it up, and then get out of the gap. Okay, so like I said before, what we need to be looking at is crossing over from partner work to pad work. You need to be going with impact, building up the ability to hit things hard for the majority of your training, because motor memory will go with the majority of what you do. So lots of good ideas are out there amongst like-minded combative people. We practice these drills against the wall a lot, and then you give them to other people, they do something with them and it networks and things grow from it. This pad drill, which comes from another British instructor, Mick Coote, is a really great way to cross this over into impact work. So what's going to happen here is Andrew stood parallel, no position of preparation, his eyes are shut, just kind of simulates just getting caught, cold cocked unawares, which is of course less than ideal. And Sharon is going to just index his chest and shove him to the wall, and then from there the drill's going to come out. So you're going to do 2-3 reps and then switch it over. Okay, take it away. Again. Okay, switch it. And if that force is too hard to push back, then just yield off it. And one more. Maybe change tool, maybe look at the hammer fist. And time. Great job. Okay, just to build on that then, we're just going to look at still this option of gouging into now biting. The option of biting somebody, although repugnant to some people, may be the only thing that gets this individual off of you. First thing I'm going to say about biting is, of course, there's a danger of cross-contamination from blood-borne disease, such as hepatitis, and HIV, etc., etc. So biting is a last resort, but all grappling is a last resort. If you've got somebody beating lumps out of you, and you catch in the corner of your eye, and you're dragging your fucking wife away, and the only thing you can do to bite him is to get him off you, then why wouldn't you? You should. But if you are going to bite, or not, take it on board the best way. The best way to bite anyone is to use the incisor teeth at the side of your mouth and take small target tissue. So soft tissue targets, the chin, the lips, the nose, the eyebrow, the ear, or the neck. Small amount of flesh, bite onto it and fucking shake and rip like a pit bull. In the Philippines they have an art called kinamatay, which is dedicated to gouging and biting, that's all it is. And one of the things they'll do is bite uninterrupted. So what that means is if I'm going to bite him, I'm not just going to nip him so he pulls back and says, oh, fucking biting now, are we? Because now I escalate the violence and he wants to get me back. What I want to do instead of that is make it so that he can't get away from me and I bite him till I'm done. In which case I now trigger that primal fear reflex in him where he just doesn't want to fucking be here. The objective in all cases is to get him off me. I don't want to be in this situation. I'll get him off me. If it's done, it's done. If it's not, boom, I'm going to impact straight away. So biting is a means to an end. The thing to understand is, although there's a danger from cross-contamination from blood, the natural bacteria that we carry in our mouth is so potent that it's most likely to kill off any blood-borne infection on contact. The only time you might have a problem is if you have a cut in your mouth and then there's cross-contamination. Of course, it's all ugly and we don't want to do it. And if you think, well, no, I'm never going to do that, that's fine. But understand the dangers of biting, because if you don't understand the dangers of it, you'll get beaten by it. Just have a look at all the times in a UFC match where a guy's grappling and they're rolling on the ground. How many times are their face in this proximity to each other? And they're kind of relaxed and they don't even think about it. The reason for that is because the rules in MMA dictate that you can't bite. If you added biting to the equation, no motherfucker will want to get on the ground. That's pure and simple. If you add bites in your training, simulated, then what you'll find when two guys grapple is that the shoulder comes up, the head is tucked. So now instead of this, we're kind of pushing each other away with our head, simply because we train bites. So take that on board also, okay? For this drill, what we're looking at is we're going to do it from a wall, but I just want to show you from this position. Same thing has happened. He's crashed me, and I've ended up here. If I manage to index this ear, well, then I can rip it and get this head back, as we've seen. From here, I'm going to take a soft tissue target and bite. So for the drill, obviously, I'm just going to simulate close proximity to that biting, okay? From this position, like this, and I'm going to be guttural with it. I want to make a sound. There's a big difference between me just biting his ear and him wondering if that's happening, and me this in his ear, okay, where I induce this kind of panic. So that's what I want. I want to use every resource that I can to maximize my combative efficiency, okay? So from this position, he crashes me, here I take this ear, I get this eye back, and then here I bite. Now regardless if I bite anything or not, I'm going to spit. Spit in his face. I'm going to dry mouth spit for the training. The objective is I want him to get away from me, because the second he does pull away, here, boom, that opens the knockout shot. Here's the money shot here. That's what I want to get to. So from this position then, if he crashes me, I'll end up here, I get this back, and work off that. Need a deal? This is the combination of gouging, biting, to get to impact. Okay, last drill we're going to look at in relation to the options with the stand-up offensive clinch is here again. I'm in the same situation here. For whatever reason, if I can't get to this ear, maybe from this position I reach for this, and he puts his hand on here, throws a hook up on my wrist to pull my hand down, and I can't get this. But now I branch straight away to this side. From here I can get this ear, I can index this eye, or I can fish hook his mouth. Just a word on fish hooking his mouth. If I put my hand into his mouth and hunt for this fish hook, he's going to bite me. So I want some kind of pattern interruption. Just keep your jaw tight. From here, instead of just reach for it, I'm going to hit him and then rip this around. Whatever I do, I'm looking to take part of his face to get to this position. From here, I'm going to snatch this and hit this jaw, okay, with this incidental shot. So I end up here, he crashes, I reach for this ear, he pulls my arm down, and so I take this ear. From here I'm just going to turn this and rotate his head with the ballistic manipulation. From here I'm just going to drive this into here, and start working him over. So here I'm combining the gouge and the bite, the gouge and the rip with a ballistic manipulating turn of the head, which gets me out and off this wall, putting me in a position to use the environment and get to striking. At any point during that equation, if this is done, I feel a slump in his body weight, he goes fetal, covers up, he's no longer combative, then I will hit the big red stop button. You know, I don't need to progress it to this level. All I'm giving you are continuous options that will manifest a seamless flow that will accumulate to the end of the problem. Okay? You need to be training for the worst case scenario. So the violence volume dial needs to be at 10. That's the way I've got to train it. If I'm prepared to give him 10 and I meet 7, well, I can turn it down. But if I only train at 7 and meet 10, well then you're fucked. So you've got to train for that worst case scenario. I've got to work off the premise in training that I need to give him all of it. Now if I meet less of a threat than that, it's a bonus, okay? So from here last time then, he crashes me here, I end up here, I reach for this here, he pulls, I'm going to get some index here to turn this head. And then just going to manipulate this skull, drive this into the wall, and then start working him over with ballistic strikes. Okay, here's a nice little drill that we can practice to get the feel of manhandling somebody from this kind of tie clinch, and indeed getting manhandled. Desensitization to that is a great advantage. One of the advantages any MMA practitioner will have, if you ever end up in an altercation with one, is that they're used to violence. They're used to getting hit, they're used to giving a shot, they're used to manhandling people, they're used to getting manhandled. Well, if you ain't, then that's an advantage to them, most definitely. So this drill gives you multiple things. It's an accelerated learning drill, if you like. You're going to get many things from it in one moment. First thing it's going to give you is poise, balance. It's going to subconsciously put your feet where they need to be. The other thing it's going to give you is tactile sensitivity. You're going to feel somebody through tactile awareness as opposed to visually cueing your target. It's also going to give you the ability to use incidental small shots to assault on the immediate index of somebody's neck. So for instance, why would I just grab somebody's neck when I can kind of hit them 3 times en route, as we'll see. And it will teach you that there's always something available to hit and hit with, okay? So it's an attribute building drill. It's not necessarily how you might fight the fight. But if you end up boom here, there's no reason that it doesn't have practical immediate application, as we'll see. So several-fold reasons why I want to include this drill. Influence comes from early practice of some of the Filipino stuff, some of the JKD conceptuals, ideas, but applied to combative way of thinking. And this is how good stuff comes out. Okay? So I'm going to call in Sharon first of all, and we're going to work this drill. Basically what I'm looking at doing is getting a dominant clinch position. Okay? So a Muay Thai kind of structure. But instead of me just grabbing his neck in this way and pulling him in, I want to hit him on the way in. So there's several things I can do here. I can slap him here, cut the back of his head, and then drive his face into the shoulder butt as I clinch him. So instead of this, I can keep it tight, hit him here, 1, 2, boom, 3, okay? Just on grabbing him now to acquire a target, I've already rung his bells. Why wouldn't you do that? It's efficient. From this position, where he's now closed in, face rammed into my shoulder, he's inside this kind of V structure of my arm. What I'm going to do from here is just pop this out and lift his head, boom, with this bicep pop, as I chamber this elbow, lifting him nicely onto the path of the strike. So from here, if we look at it slow-mo, I'm clinching him, pull into the shoulder butt, driving this forward, then I'm popping him out with the bicep to lift his head as I chamber this elbow, okay? But what I don't want you to get the idea of, it's not a static, powerful movement in terms of 1, 2, 3, 4. It's powerful, but it flows, it's seamless, okay? Maintain contact the whole time to develop the sensitivity. From here, just pull, pop, hit. Pull, pop, hit. Then on the side, pull, pop, hit. And start to flow with it. Boom, boom, boom. Options from here allow me to come off that. So from here, I can assault him, pull, pop, and hit. And now from here, I'll flank and strike him as I do, opening this lateral target. Okay? So that will look as a flow drill, pull, pop, hit, flank, boom, hit. In the reality of it, I want it explosive and combative. So for me, my initial index is boom, and then here. That's the deal. And it's done. So it's not necessarily how we fight the fight. It's a good drill to acquire attributes, but it has a practical functional value. You know, if he rammed me here and we ended up here, then why wouldn't I do boom, work this? You know, I could bring a manifestation of that to a combative example. Okay? Okay, so all we're going to do now is a little partner drill. Again, everything you do in a live situation needs to be offensive. Like I said, I'm not going to grab a hold of him or acquire a part of him without hurting him. If I have the opportunity to hurt him, that's what I'm going to do. So this clinch is not just this clinch in a sporting sense. You know, I'll slap him, cut him and pull him into this elbow shot. Then I'll pop him out and hit him with the elbow. So I want 4 incidental shots going on before I've even put the money shot in. So instead of this, you know, this is just for practice, how we can get the feel of the flow. You know, reality of it is I want that boom and then this. I want to be fucking all over him like a rash ringing his bells. But we can't train this way all the time because we get bashed up. So we're going to do a nice little flow drill now between each other where you're keeping that in mind, but it's a kind of gentle, soft flow to develop body mechanics, tactile awareness, and all the other things that we talked about. So what these 2 guys are going to do, they're going to go about 10 seconds each. Yeah, he's going to acquire a target, flow with this, left and right, and then Sharon's going to do the same thing. So Andrew will start first. And switch. Be sure to pop that elbow out. Good. Cultivate those mechanics of the body. And time. Good job. Okay, one great piece of kit that we can employ to practice this drill, many others, is the bob. Because now we get the feeling of the anatomical shape of the head and the neck structure, and we can put in the impact. You know, he's not really going to complain about it. So from here, when I get this acquirement of the neck, you know, I'm slapping this, a nice tight little slap, and cutting this into this shoulder. So I'm literally here, boom, here, and then from here I just pop this up, put this elbow in. So the flow's coming from here into here. Now you can see it's much more combatively functional. I mean, you could even employ it as a starter for 10. You know, shutting down from here, boom, and then pop, and then hit. From this position, I'm just here, pop this, hit, from here, just acquiring this target, pop, hit, and from there plank off, and then strike from here. Get a good little flow going on the bob as a means to accelerate your practice and your learning. Okay, so the next element that we want to look at in this counter-grappling program is really the crux of what most people know as grappling, when you both hit the ground. Horizontal grappling. Here we're looking at 2 positions. You know, you're either on top of this guy or you're underneath. You know, on top is going to be best, position of dominance. Principle based the same way as the stand-up. Stand-up is create pain, to create space, to strike him and finish the fight. Down here it's the same thing. I want to hurt him as quickly as possible to get back on my feet. This is the last place that you want to be in the street, you know, with third parties getting involved. To be fair, society as we know it today, particularly in the UK, even a stranger walking past will kick you in the head. If you're on the ground and, you know, there's 3 or 4 people, they'll all give you the token kick in the head. So it's not a place where you want to end up just from a multiple assailant perspective alone. Like I said before, there's weapons involved. The first you're likely to know about it is, you know, when it's sticking out a part of your anatomy. It's not unknown either if you're rolling around on the ground for somebody else to hit you with something. As well as the environment, you know, the substrate, uneven curb surfaces, broken glass, dog shit. It's not the place where you want to be. And I can tell you from, you know, my own experience that grappling on a mat is very different to grappling on, you know, a piss-ridden floor of a nightclub toilet. You don't want to go there. But if you do end up there, but then you've got to have a contingency plan, you've got to know what to do. What we're talking about here is a basic kind of introduction to that. Of course, you need to take into account that a lot of people nowadays are doing mixed martial arts, UFC, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Vale-Tudo, this kind of stuff. Practically everyone and their sister is learning to punch, kick, grapple, and use an array of weapons like they were born to do it, you know, including the wrong people. So I'm not going to get into the nuances of, you know, if you end up in a closed guard, a triangle, a choke, an arm bar and all the rest of it. Of course, you don't want to fucking end up there. What I am going to give you, though, is the dynamics of the ground, which, you know, translate to somebody who doesn't really know what they're doing, and also to those that possibly do. The first thing that we're going to look at on the ground is a position of dominance. If you both hit the ground for whatever reason, maybe you mismanage this range in a stand-up, one of you stumbles and falls and pulls the other guy on you, or you knock this guy down, he grabs you and pulls you on top of him. Regardless of how you're there, you're there. And once you're there, you do want to take something from the sporting mindset of position before submission. But what I'm not looking to do is make him tap the mat here. Tapping doesn't translate in the street. What I want to do is hurt him by whatever means possible, you know, ballistically manipulate his head, bash him off the environment, gouge him, strike him from the restriction, whatever I can do, access a weapon and use that, get up on my feet as quickly as possible before any other third party gets involved. First thing that we're going to look at is the drills that relates to pinning somebody down on the ground in a position of dominance. So there's many. What we're going to look at is a few. We're going to look at, you know, getting somebody around the neck on the ground, what's known as the scarf hold, holding somebody down in the mount, and maybe ending up cross-side. The thing to understand that all of these positions are momentary. They're a transition to something else. You know, you're going to stand there or lie there and hold him there until somebody comes along to assist you, because that's not going to happen. You know, you want to get him into that position and hurt him enough to get back on your feet ASAP. Okay? So without further ado, what we're going to do is bring in a pins drill where we learn three different ways in which we can hold somebody down, flowing from them to get the feel of the movement. Because tactile awareness is a big part of grappling. You've only got to look at the likes of, you know, Hoy and Gracie or any of those people. They've got fantastic control over their body, fantastic tactile awareness on the ground. That's the one thing that grappling will give you. And even if you are a combative exponent that trained primarily for, you know, self-preservation, I would suggest that you go and cross-train. Have a look at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Just do it for the art. Do it for the exercise for your body. This is just amazing, and it will cultivate a lot of attributes. But understand where that belongs. If we're talking about self-preservation in the street, you want to be looking elsewhere. Okay? So what we're doing is we're going to first of all start with positions of dominance on the ground. Okay, here what we got is a dominant position. We're going to keep it basic. I'm going to give you three. There's many more, but you know, you just need to know how to hold a guy down. This is like the old schoolyard, you know, if you fight around the back of the school, one kid ends up instinctively on top of the other. We innately know that holding on for grim death in this way will get him under control. Just as we know that on top, pounding into his head, is a better position than being underneath. So I'm keeping it basic, working off the premise that maybe you've not got any ground skills. This position here is known as the scarf hold, simply because his arm's wrapped around him like a scarf. He's tucking off this arm here, and he's dropping his head to limit his attacking potential. The place where he's vulnerable is from this arm, momentarily, the strikes to the back of the head, and also the fish hook him off. But for now, this is just a position to show how we can hold somebody. What's important is that he winds his base and he splays his legs in this way, so that now Andrew couldn't pull him over. Okay? If the legs conversely to that were together, it would be relatively easy for Andrew to pull him off. Okay? But if we splay this like so, and he really tucks down and digs deep, there's no fucking way he's pulling him over. Just pull, just give it what you can. He's got a good position to do something. Okay? If you've never been held in this way, then you know it will induce panic. One of the things grapplers do very well is travel. So what they'll do is they'll hold on, resting all their weight heavy onto the guy underneath. So this guy's getting a break while this other guy's expending energy trying to get him off. What I want you to understand from a street perspective is this isn't a place that you want to hang out. This is literally a transition, one moment in the confrontation. You've ended up in the ground, you're fortunate enough to get this position. From here, you're looking to hurt him and get the fuck up. All I want to show for now is the position of dominance, okay? From this position then, Sharon's going to make a smooth transition into a mount. That is, his legs will be over the top of this guy, right over the top, and in a position where he's now controlling him on the ground. This is referred to as a closed mount. The closed mount is not a recommended thing that you might use in the street, simply because on the street we can bite. There's no rules on the street. So what we're looking rather than this is a higher mount where he's up, his index in a position on his head, and he's chambered to hit him, okay, as we'll see. Then from here, he's going to just go cross-side to show you again one momentary position that you may end up in that's going to put you in a position of dominance and him in an inferior position, okay? Any of these things are a moment in the fight. Like I say, this is not where you want to hang out. If you end up here, slump the weight on, start wailing on him in some way, and get the fuck up. So from here then, the drill will begin with a scarf hold from either side, doesn't matter, just take a scarf. Then smooth transition into, when I tell you not yet, into the mount, then cross side. So we're just going to work it a few times. As soon as you hear my command, you're going to switch nice and smooth, okay? Mount. Come on. Cross side. Mount. Scarf. Mount. Cross side. Like so. Okay, good. You just sit up for a sec. All I want to happen now is just to show you the little difference between this kind of dojo environment with nice soft matting. The idea would be to take this outside into the parking lot and do the next drill. But visualize that this is a parking lot, this is part of a sidewalk of a street, maybe the bathroom, restroom of a nightclub, whatever. It's not this, okay? Well, if you hit the ground in this way and he gets a position of dominance, and this guy doesn't have much clue about ground fighting, or even if he does, what he's going to do is panic. And when you're struggling in this kind of context, the energy will sap real fast. So what I want to show is the ability to maintain a dominant position while the guy underneath being non-compliant. Now, of course, every counter in grappling has a counter. We all know ways in which we can employ escape from here, which we'll look at. But for now, I just want you to get an idea of how momentarily you can control somebody on the ground, even if they're panicking, kicking and bucking, okay? So what you're going to do is take the scarf. When I cue you, I just want you to panic, whatever, shout, whatever you want. Ready? Go. And time. Now take the mount. Squeeze with those thighs now. Go. Back up. Time. And then finally cross side. Okay, just hold him momentarily. Understand that he's not just going to be holding him. He's going to be wailing on him and hurting him in some way. I just wanted to show you that if you take away compliancy, throw it away, you still got something good going on if you can hold him well. Okay, go. Get the fuck off! And time. And relax. Great job. Good. Okay, so what I want to get to now is the meat of it. You know, you don't want to be staying down there on the ground. I want to be doing something to get back up, as we've said. So what are our options? Our options are exactly the same on the ground as they were standing up. You know, I'm going to be striking from some kind of restriction, using the environment, etc., etc. The main things that we want to employ is what's not employed in MMA. In MMA, there's no eye attacks, there's no throat attacks, direct groin attacks, there's no small joint manipulation. There's no ballistic manipulation to the joints or head. I'm not allowed to use the environment. I'm not allowed to deploy a weapon, get my mate to help me. I'm not allowed to spit, use profanity, deception, or any of these things. So I'm going to employ all and any means, fair and unfair, to get on my feet and to get the job done. In short, whatever it takes for me to win. So we're going to begin by taking these positions again and looking at our attacking or assaultive options from there. Okay, using the just the 3 basic positions that we talked about. I mean, there's other things you can do, but this is just a basic intro. If I'm in this scarf hold momentarily with him and I've got him boxed off, you know, I don't want to be holding him here, okay? I want to be doing something. So options, closest tool, the closest weapon. I'm going to drive this thumb spike into his eye. I can bite from here. I've got restrictive strikes, light headbutts. I can crank his neck and then start to use the environment in this way, okay? From here, if I take this mount, I want this pressure in his face, and I want normal hard skills what I'm going to employ. So I can cycle from here. I can use that kind of gorilla pounding kind of affair. I can elbow, just dropping my weight into him. I can also gouge, crank, again, use the environment. Okay, cross side from here. I've got options of knees, elbows, coming back from here, biting. All objectives being for me to hurt him, make him capitulate, and get on my feet. Okay, it's a nice little flow drill that we can do to practice becoming assaultive from this restricted position. Here Saran's got Andrew in a scarf hold. He's got a dominant hand free here, and he's got his head usable for a headbutt in terms of striking. He's also got the thumb gouge, the bite, neck crank, use of the environment. So flow the drill this way. He's just going to index what I say. So here, going to gouge the eye, okay, going to bite, going to headbutt, restricted strikes with the palms, put them in. Okay, crank that neck and bounce it off the environment. Good, from there now take that mount, get pressure in the face, chamber for that shot. This is what I want straight palm, hammer fist, elbow, normal hard skills. Go, boom, boom, other side, palm, hammer fist, elbow. Now cross side, as you can now, you've got those big knees into the floaters. Boom, both sides. Got elbows, got hammer fist, elbows into the groin. Got a nice bite there to the nipple line. Objective, always, hurt him, get up, get out. Good job. Okay, so without labouring this too much, we're going to look at now escapes. What we've done so far is we looked at a couple of dominant positions on the ground, how to become assaultive from that position. We also need to know how to deal with common situations on the ground that we may end up in. I'm going to deal with the 2 most common. One way in which you're most likely to be taken to the ground is if you're tackled. Any kind of single leg pickup, double leg takedown, whatever else. Maybe from somebody who's practiced in MMA, maybe from a guy who's done a bit of rugby, maybe from somebody who's just big, strong, and wants to impose their superior weight and strength. You know, shooting in for a tackle to ground somebody to the floor and then mounting on top to pound them into submission is a common thing. Ground and pound, that's what we know. The best way to deal with that is not to get taken down. And one of the countermeasures that we all employ, again popular in combat sport, is the sprawl. Understand the context of how we're going to employ the sprawl from a street perspective. Okay? There's a big difference in me being 3 feet from somebody moving around. I fake high and then I shoot for a tackle. You know, here this is consensual combat. We both agree to be here. We touch gloves. We move around. In the street, it's non-consensual. You know, I don't want any part of this problem. He's in my face. And what's likely to change most of all is going to be the range. So I turn around, the guy's here. He's mouthing off, and then all of a sudden he goes to shoot and dump me from here. The distance being is that if the difference being if the distance is closed, my opportunity narrows by my perception of the event. I'm going to be able to take in less information. If you're particularly adrenalized and your vision tunnels somewhat, then he's just going to suddenly drop position and he's going to shift from your focus. While you're figuring where he went, he's round your legs taking you down. So unless you understand that, you're going to get beaten by that. One common situation also, and one I've had from real experience, where I preempted somebody and they're unconscious, they're falling, and he's grabbed hold of me out of desperation, literally holding on to clear his head. Well, if you don't control that down quickly, then he's going to suddenly clear his head, realise he's in a good position hanging around your waist, and look to pick you up and dump you. So what we're looking at now is the avoidance of getting taken to the ground so that we don't offer the mount position to the other party. Okay? So the first thing we're going to look at is the sprawl. So if I call in Sharon here, and we work from that perspective that I said, instead of this kind of 3 feet kind of moving around sparring range, we're here, okay? Understand that the street has a different delivery system to ring sport, dojo, whatever else. If we're boxing and we touch gloves and then we move around and we spar, the physical delivery system is a physical base. We're both in this stance, we're both moving around, we're both going to spar, we're going to box. Delivery system in the street, psychological. I turn around, he's in my face, he's aggressive, offering intimidation. You know, I need to get over that alarm state to deal with that, and then something happens. You know, it's kind of different. So you need to be aware of that also. But from this kind of range, just to map in the notion of the movement, if we give each other this kind of range here, well, if you've got 3 feet in the street, turn and fucking run. You know, you don't want to be there. But for the purpose of this drill, if he starts to drop to shoot in at me here, then there's a certain thing that he's doing, a behavioural pattern in a physical sense, that I need to understand. In short, if we shorten that to this range and he drops to do that, my reaction time is halved. So I need to understand what this sudden drop means, particularly if he takes my attention upward before he does it, okay? But what I'm looking to do from here is sprawl. Now, his target is my legs or low-line structure. I want to remove that from him and land on him in a way that's immediately assaultive. So I don't want to underhook him or catch him. I want to drive this kind of apex structure into here as he shoots. And I want to fall on him. So he looks to shoot in at me, and I want this kind of structure, either one or preferably both legs back. He comes again at me here, so I want this position, okay? Now if I get this, and he shoots one more time, then I need to take it further and literally land on him, okay? So if we take that back, he shoots here, boom, I want this, he shoots again, boom, I need to still keep those legs back at all costs. Well, now I'm chest to back with him, and then my options may change. But if we take it from here, which is where we'd like it, he comes here, boom, I want this motion. I will immediately now start getting assaulted to the back of his head, okay? Start punching him in the back of the neck. Again, spinal attacks are not allowed in MMA. What I don't want to be doing is looking to raise this leg and knee him in any way, because my structure's already compromised. I just basically want this head down, guide him into the ground, or bang him on the way down. It's the first thing I want to be looking at doing.
Hey man, look at that.
Okay, here we're going to look at the premise that, you know, I've misjudged that, I've not got a leg back in time, he's got me and I'm going downward. The second he indexes me in any way here, whether it's one leg or both legs, if he gets my inertia with my shoulders going past my hips, there's only one option from here, that's where I'm going. So what I want to do immediately is index this head. I want to hit this in some way and get these fingers in his eyes. So straight away we hit this ground here, he's got something to think about. From here I just want to take that chin and rotate him off me and then pass him into this mount position. From here I'm just going to follow up with my striking ability from here. Alternatively, I'll roll the other way to avoid him, to a ball. So if we take that from another position, take it from here, he shoots at me here, straight away, we're in this position, I want this structure. Coming over from here to finish and follow up. Okay? Slow-mo time. He shoots here, boom, I'm going, I want something here. I just want to get this in and drive to the ground. Doesn't matter if he's in my guard, he's mismatched like this, or he gets the mount. I want to get this rotation of his head to get him to fuck off me, so I can either turn this way or continue and engage him. From here I'm indexed, he's fetal, I'm striking to get back on my feet. Okay, what I really want to avoid is allowing him to get the mount, to get loaded, to start pounding me, okay? So how might that happen? Well, it might happen if he gets that tackle on me, as we've seen, but I don't manage to get an index into his face or his head. Maybe his face or head is turned, tucked. Maybe the opportunity for me to hurt him from the off isn't available, in which case he's taking me to the ground. One of the basics of any kind of stimulus that's about to bowl you over, whether that's to knock me into a wall, whether he starts wailing on me with, you know, kind of windmilling in, or whether I hit the ground, is I want to employ a non-diagnostic default response. So I don't want to hit this ground with my back, boom, banging on the ground, and then my head impacts the ground, because I'm just going to knock myself out for him. Okay, so I want to be aware of that when I impact the ground, particularly if it's in the parking lot, that that's going to fucking hurt, and that's especially with him on top of me. So I want to, all cases, keep my chin tucked to avoid impacting my head. The second I land on the ground, even though you're kind of going to be dazed, it would be in your interest to get assaulted straight from the off. Because the second he tackles, then takes this mount, there's a momentary moment before he'll start unloading these big guns. And as soon as he does, then, I'm definitely going to have to counter that before I can re-offend him. So if he tackles me in this way, boom, and I'm down, I want to immediately start to get assaulted with him and then get back on my feet. So whatever that gives me, hammer fists, elbow, whatever I can pound just to create a space to get a foot out, to shove him off from the hips or whatever else, to get back on my feet. That's one option. What we can look at as a means to cultivate, which again is restricted striking, is a pad drill. So if I bring Andrew in from here, and you take a back position, we can isolate the movement of the initial blitzing from the off. So he takes the mount, he holds this high on his chest. Again, remember, this is a drill to cultivate one part of that. All I want you to do is pound left and right, alternating into the pad. It's also a good conditioning drill. Ready? Go. Just that, get space and get him off you. Keep pounding, slide your legs down, put them off. Good, back up on your feet. Excellent, good job. Okay, let's work that in then to the point where he gets his objective, okay? He tackles me, I'm down, he's set, he's gonna pound me. My option here now, I've got to cover my noggin. Now, if you cover your head with any kind of good default structure, it won't guarantee that you won't get hit. But it should give you a high probability that you won't get knocked out. Because what I'm looking to protect is my chin, my jaw, my neck, my temples. He might get through, hit me in the grill, might take me and hit me in the nose, whatever else. He's going to be beating on me, so I can't stay here. I can't take my hands away in any way to index him, to hit him. I can't attempt to access any type of weapon, because the second I take this structure away from my head, he's knocking me the fuck out. So the first thing that we need to look at is my position here. I need to keep my head off the ground. If he manages to drive this into the ground, there's no way for anything to go. He's going to hit me, boom, and I'm out. Okay, so it's not this kind of thing. Instead of that, I'm going to bite down hard, keep this up, and as he starts to wail, I just need to keep covering up here somehow. And from there I've got to get something going on to get him to fuck off me. So what options have I got? Well, all I got from here is these elbows into the peroneal as I butt him off me this way. He's got to base out here to prevent his facial structure hitting the ground. As he does, I'll get that attachment and I'll bite uninterrupted. I'll get him off me and then I'll get back up on my feet. Okay? Whatever soft tissue target you're going to get is what you're going to get. If I get the kind of nipple line, then great, but chances are I'm just going to get something. If he's got heavy clothing and that's laden, oh, dude, you ain't going to get nothing. All I can do is buck him and get him off me by whatever means. So here's the drill. For whatever thing he tackles me, boom, we're down, starts to mount, starts to pound, I'm covering here, yes, boom, get him off me, boom, now I'm back up. And I'm looking to get the fuck out. What the deal? Okay, the last thing I want to look at to close this section up is getting out of guard position. Guard position is I end up between his legs, he may throw the hooks in, and my objective is to obviously get back on my feet. So I want to look at passing that guard, getting to impact his strikes, so I can meet that objective. Okay? How might I end up there? Well, this kind of mismanaged push-pull thing, maybe, he grabs me, pulls me down, and I end up on the ground with him in this position here. Maybe I end up in his guard, maybe I end up one leg here, one leg inside. But let's say here now I'm in this guard. What I don't want to do is get him to close this off and pull me down. If he does close this off and pull me down out of panic, then if the opportunity arises, I'll bite him to create space. If he pulls me in, I'll bite here. But maybe he pulls my face in real tight. I don't get the option for that. Now I'm going to start looking for other things to get myself up and crank him or whatever else. what I want to talk about is, we've landed in this position, I want to become immediately combative to him. Because he doesn't want me to start striking, he may do this and raise this structure. If he does do that, I've got two options. I can drop this into the peroneal and start pounding the balls here as I pass this guard and take this position to mount. Outside of that, to break this structure, one thing I like to do from here is literally just start hooking inside these thighs to get this position to pound. Then pass this, and finish up, and get the fuck out of Dodge. See the deal? So to recap, we're in guard. This, incidentally, is a position I favour more with women than somebody like this, as cute as he is. From here, I want to get up to this position to strike him. He raises up, I'm going to drop this, or start pounding here. Take the next target, up the groin, pass this guard, follow up. Got the deal? Okay, just want to bring this tape to a close. What we've covered basically as a recap is counter-grappling is a last resort. You don't want to end up there. The best way to deal with anyone is via soft skills. You know, you want to avoid the problem in the first place, made possible by awareness, good observation skills, and understanding of threat recognition. Best self-protection of all is don't be there. Outside of that, if you are approached by somebody, you want good situational control. And I want to be proactive on two levels, you know, from a psychological point of view and physical if necessary. If this situation dictates physical action, then I want to hit first. And I want to be significant enough to end the problem, regardless of the force to threat parallel. If we end up in a grappling kind of situation, it's because some kind of mistake has been made or something's been mismanaged. And of course, that's our contingency training. You need a good self-protection game plan supported by the what ifs. You know, what if I end up in a clinch? What if we go to the ground? What if there's multiples? What if he pulls a weapon? What if, what if, what if? You know, you need to address these kind of things in your training. All we've looked at here is a couple of aspects relating to counter-grappling, namely vertical, stand-up clinch, and also if we both go to the ground. Other elements that could also be addressed here is if I'm on the ground, he's on his feet. Or if I want to take somebody to the ground, keep them there without getting pulled into a grapple. Or the issue of weapons, you know, in-fight weapon access without him fouling my draw, or me preventing his ability to access a weapon. In addition to that, also subject control and restraint comes within the realms of counter-grappling or grappling. You know, the rules of engagement are different, maybe for security or law enforcement. You know, combatives is applicable to all parties concerned, but the curriculum available for civilians is geared toward being able to facilitate an escape, whereas VIP protection is all about protecting the third party. Law enforcement objective will be to arrest, transport and interview. Military objective could be anything from crowd control to way beyond that. Okay? So combatives can be tapered to fit into any of those things. For the security industry, control and restraint is just one of them. And that comes in the aspect of counter-grappling also within the UC curriculum. All of our time to present to you today is really the bare bones, which is the two main elements, stand-up grapple, on-the-ground grapple. I hope that you can take something from it. Appreciate your attention and possibly see you again. Peace.
Empty, man. Wait off.
Oh shit, sorry. Hey, what the fuck? Back up, you cunt! Fuck, you don't touch me! Back up!
No problem.
There's nothing but you. Now it's our turn, and we won't back down. From a parade of tail. Tears that fell, things that you leave behind. Fate you left me like an eye. This is a straight back to you. I don't care who understands. One day I will find you out. Trust that they will come about. Dominate and step back for that door. Broken respect. Respect is what we deserve. This is a message to you. How the fuck you gonna wonder? years, but you can't get back the tears. Take away the years of shit. Get this shit back again. I'm still from different faces. Right, I can't understand. One day I will find you out. Someday I will find you back. Turn the table, come about. Come night and the night for the yours. We'll get right back. We've been just one way down.